Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Welcome to the Shady Youth Podcast, hosted by yours truly. My name is Shakeel, and alongside me, we have our co-host, Iffad. How are you?
I'm good. Assalamu alaikum, guys.
So we have been trying to do this for quite a bit, for quite a long time, actually.
Yep.
This has been a plan in the making. I think I reached out to you for the idea about a month ago. About a month ago.
I think so too. A month ago, yeah.
Yeah, and by that I mean like October, because I know we're releasing it a bit later, but
Yeah.
we're recording. Today's date is November 28th. We're recording these in batches, just to get like a whole cluster done, just to see just to test the waters a bit.
Yeah, we're just trying to, none of us have been in on camera before, so we're just trying to, get this podcast out and hopefully start something new.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we have been planning this for a while. I came to you with the idea because you've been doing YouTube for a while. By that I mean you've been doing videos for a while.
Yeah, I've been trying to edit some videos. I went to my country last year and I made a video there.
Where's your country, bro?
My country, Bangladesh, Southeast Asia.
No, it's South Asia. Yeah,
South,
pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah. So you went to Bangladesh for. Was it specifically to record the video, or you just like visiting family, or like?
It was actually me visiting after a very long time, over
Gotcha.
13 years. So
That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely to see the country and definitely to bring something back home.
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw the video. It was really nicely edited. Nice music, nice transitions. The whole thing looked very professional, mashallah.
Thank you.
So I came to you because you know a lot about the technical side of things. You are like
I try.
The other thing is we've known each other since elementary school. We kind of lost connection in middle school and for like the beginning of high school. Last couple of years we started to actually like talk again.
Reconnect.
Reconnect pretty much. We became pretty good friends, I'd say. We have pretty good conversations in my opinion. I remember, I think it might have been junior of high school when we finally had like our first real conversation in a very long time. I mean, and I guess real conversation in general, because I don't know how many 10-year-olds are having real conversations.
Yeah, so I mean, me and Shakeel, like he said, we go back. And I think, that's how real friendships actually work. Some way or another, you connect back, your life goes on, and then you lose path in the middle. Like this was our middle school years. We didn't even know each other, who we were. But we met new friends, and we came back to each other. And this time we came back pretty hard. We have this podcast now, So I'm really happy.
Oh, you're so cute. And came back to each other, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's kind of introduce ourselves, a bit about ourselves. My name is Shakeel, like I previously said. Shakeel Sheikh, if you want my full name. My
Facebook, guys.
Don't look me up, please.
Request him.
Don't look me up. Please don't. But anyway, Shakeel Sheikh, that's my full name, my government name, I guess. So I am a second-year college student. I'm pursuing a bachelor's in nursing currently, inshallah. I do want to go to grad school. I'm not entirely sure in what particular area, but they're definitely in the world of healthcare, something to that effect. What about you?
On a similar path. I'm also a science student, most likely health. But first, I want to complete my bachelor's in computer science, and then hopefully I can go do some pre-med, and then hopefully to medical school on neuroscience. I'm trying to do neurosurgery. It's a long path, but I think it'll be worth it. Inshallah, it'll be worth it.
Okay. So computer science and pre-med, that is an interesting combo.
Yeah,
Why?
it's a very interesting combo, and it's also a very difficult combo. The thing is, computer science, I don't really think of as a task. It's more of as a hobby. I'm always on the computer. I'm always fixing computers. That's actually my part-time job. I repair computers. So it's more of a hobby. I'm not the best computer science student on the math part, but I do get away with the technical parts, like physical parts. And I think I just like the whole idea of the AI that we're, pushing forward, like the whole Tesla by Elon Musk, these self-driving cars. So I want to do something, I really want to focus on that. And
have you seen the new car
Oh yeah,
that Tesla released.
Oh yeah, the new truck. I drew that when I was 4. Copyright
For
strike.
that, yeah, that's the meme that's been popping up.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this is the car that everyone drew when they were like 5 years
Exactly.
old.
It's a very good design though. Actually,
Is it?
It's a very good.
It looks like a triangle.
Yeah, because
It looks like one of those, like in kindergarten when you have those blocks.
Yeah,
And then you have the little triangle piece.
you
on
only
top.
know like 3 shapes: triangle, square.
So you put the triangle piece on top of the square piece to build a house. That's what it looks like.
It's pretty expensive too. It's
yeah,
very expensive.
For sure.
Yeah,
It's a Tesla car. They all are.
But continuing with your question on the medical part, I think the human creation, I think is one of the greatest creations, and I don't think anything can outdo it. So to learn more about the human body, it's more about learning about myself. If I study the mind, I'm studying myself.
For sure.
So it's a very good combo, and I hope it helps. Hopefully before I die, I can leave something behind.
Right. Inshallah. That's the goal that we should all kind of have in the back of our heads, or at least in the front of our heads, I guess. We should always look to add something to the world, add some benefit to the world. We got tea. It's actually empty now.
Empty cups, guys. That's just props. Empty cups.
No, I mean, I was drinking it before, but we finished now.
Oh, it was full. Yeah,
so as I was saying, we should always try to add some benefit to the world, try to help the world, leave something behind when we die. So yeah, that's a very noble goal, inshallah.
Definitely, yeah.
That's definitely I'm pursuing a kind of a similar path in healthcare. I do have other interests like this, I guess.
One interest right here.
I mean, I like looking into philosophy, history. I like reading. I read poetry in my free time.
He's a great writer, guys. I can't tell you that. He's a great writer.
I'm a mediocre writer.
He's a great writer.
I'm mediocre. But I have a poetry page on Instagram that I worked on. I was posting pretty consistently, I think in April, May-ish of this year in 2019. And yeah, I kind of just stopped.
Why'd you stop? It was good. We'll leave the in our YouTube.
We might. That's a very big might.
Yeah.
So we might not. I think I just stopped because I was posting on a pretty weekly basis. I stopped because in general I stopped writing. I don't know what happened. In general I just stopped writing. A lot of my writing comes from bursts of inspiration. A lot of my writing is very faith based.
So religion, right?
Religion, pretty much.
Yeah.
Islam, bro.
Yeah.
We're both Muslim.
Yep.
It has a very important part.
Strong
to
impact.
Play.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
yep.
Very important part
Yep.
to play in both of our lives, I'd say.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah, it shaped the men that we are, young men that we are. And speaking of that, actually, we should kind of go into the name of our podcast.
Definitely the name, yeah.
The Shaded Youth. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're probably thinking. Well, the Shaded Youth podcast. Well, let's kind of go into the background of it. It took us a really long time to actually think of the name itself. Yeah, I'm kind of fixing this. But it took us a very long time to... Yeah, the listeners probably don't know what's going on, but you guys probably see that.
Don't worry, guys. Technical issues.
So I'm kind of tinkering with this.
Okay.
Tinkering with this.
Yeah, the first time. So don't worry, we're doing well. Shakil's holding up, but his mic isn't. My mic is out. Yeah, this is a good rate. Is it fine? Just push it in more. Okay, so this, yo, bro. It's good. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's fine. Okay, well, that's definitely okay. Hold up. We might cut this part. Honestly, we might cut this part. No, we'll definitely cut this part. Yeah. No, we're good. We are good. Yeah, we're fixed. We're perfectly good. Turn more. I'm good. We're fine. We're doing really well. Professional work, guys. Professional.
Completely professional. All right, and we're back.
We're back, guys. We're back.
Are we cutting that?
No, we're not. We're gonna speed it up a little bit.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Everything is for a good reason. So, what was I talking about? We were talking about the name, the Shaded Youth podcast.
Oh. Got a little excited there. This is what happens when
this is literally your first time.
This is what happens when you're really excited.
So the Shaded Youth podcast, what does that mean? So we went through a long list of names. It took us a really long time to finally settle on this.
Very long.
To find something that we actually vibed with, that we liked, that we just liked to, it just, rolled out to the tip of our tongues. It didn't sound forced. We had a whole list of names that we were going through, and everything just didn't stick. They either sounded too forced, or they're just off. You know what I mean? And then finally, I came up with the Shady Youth. I pitched it to a couple friends of mine. They also really liked it. Iffad also really liked it. And so the background of it comes from a hadith about the seven groups of people under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the day of judgment, when the sun is going to be scorching right above people's heads, and they're going to be pouring sweat, and there will be seven groups under the shade of the throne, and they're perfectly cool, perfectly temperate, and they'll be chilling. And so I'll actually read the hadith itself. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu reported, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him, said, there are seven whom Allah will shade on a day when there is no shade but his. They are a just ruler, a youth who grew up in the worship of Allah, one whose heart is attached to the mosques, two who love each other, meet and depart from each other for the sake of Allah, a man who is tempted by a beautiful woman of high status but he rejects her, saying, I fear Allah. One spends in charity and conceals it such that his right hand does not know what his left hand has given, and one who remembered Allah in private and he wept. And this is in Sahih al-Bukhari, and the authenticity was agreed upon by all the scholars. So if you look, the second group is talking about a youth who grew up in the worship of Allah, in the worship of his Lord. And so this is what we all strive for. Me and Iffad are working on ourselves as Muslims, we're working on ourselves as people.
Yep.
And this is a goal that we're trying to live by. We're trying to become one of those people under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're trying our best. Islam is pretty much,
it's a way of life, it's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
It's a way of life.
It sounds
stated.
cliche.
Yes, just a way of life.
But that's truly like what it is. It is a way of life. It's not just a religion. It's what we try to base all our judgment, all our reasoning, all our decisions on.
Just trying to be a good person,
Just trying to be a good person.
At the end of the day, the religion of Islam, I don't think it's trying to push any agenda besides just try to be a good person.
Alhamdulillah.
That's what Islam means. It's a religion of peace. At the end of the day, you don't want to go to night stressed out. So I think Islam and the hadith that he just beautifully expressed, I think it connects with the name that we have, the Shaded Youth, and hopefully in the day of judgment, the hereafter, we can become one of these. One of the part of the youth, one of the seven he just mentioned.
Is he gonna? Is the audio fine with him, right?
Yeah, we just have to talk a lot louder.
Okay.
We just have to keep talking.
Okay, yeah, my bad. So there's some background noise. It's fine. And we are back.
Yeah.
We had some technical difficulties. So we're back. I'm not entirely sure where we left off on. We broke down why we named ourselves the Shaded Youth. We went through the hadith of it all. We discussed how we should live by that, how we should strive to be under the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala under the day of judgment, because that is the ultimate goal after all. That's how we should live our lives. As you can probably tell, Islam plays a very important part in our lives, in our decisions, in our judgment making, in our reasoning, in the way we think. And you want to add on to that?
Yeah, it definitely plays a major role. We are born Muslims first, and it's a way of life, And speaking of that, this is a whole different new segue into why I was able to even start this podcast. And major gratitude goes to my mom. Not many of us are fortunate to have something that we love to do, and our parents agree, especially in the Brown households.
For sure.
Most of us are pushed forward to just be engineers or doctors, and this side hustle right here, which is the podcasting, usually doesn't come through till we're later ages, and we're pretty young right now. So to be able to do this at such a young age, I'm very happy. My mom, actually, she's back there, she's cooking, and she's very happy to see me, record this with my friend right here, and I'm very grateful. And there's more projects that I've been working on, movie making, video making, and she's always asking how it's going, what's going on. your biggest cheerleaders sometimes are your parents, whether or not you realize it, so I'm very, very blessed to have that.
Yeah, like may Allah make all of our parents, a means of our Jannah, and may all of us, try to please our parents.
Yes, of course.
To the end of time. You mentioned something very important, how people sometimes are pushed in a certain direction that they don't want to go into, and that's a very important message. This is a side hustle for us, but for some people this is something they want to do, like something they want to do for the rest of their lives. Something they want to do as a source of income, as something they want to rely their career on. They want to produce videos, they want to go into something creative, they want to write, they want to direct, they want to just put something out there into the world as a main source of income. And a lot of the time
they're not able to.
They're not able to.
Their biggest, ironically, their biggest hurdle is their own parents, and it's sad because these people, it's like telling an engineer to become a doctor when he was, meant to be an engineer. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate, and I hope more people will realize it. I hope our parenthood, when we become parents, we're able to see that more for our kids. We're able to, let them become who they want to be, and not just tell them, hey, become a doctor, because I couldn't be a doctor. I think most of the parents that want their kids to be a doctor is because they wanted to be a doctor at a certain time in their life, and they weren't able to due to their financial circumstances, and of course opportunities back home like India, Bangladesh, Pakistan.
I agree with you to an extent. I do want to add some nuance to that.
Of course, go ahead.
Of course, like our parents, they always have our best interests for us.
Of course,
and in the economic context that they grew up in, were the number one money makers. Doctors, engineers, lawyers, government positions, finance.
They're usually also the most respected too.
These are orthodox career fields that people do strive towards, and we're both pursuing careers in healthcare.
Exactly, STEM related.
Yeah. So, and like a lot of our friends are going to computer science. Most of our friends are going into like computer science or finance.
Yep.
So these are orthodox careers, and people do generally just gravitate towards them. However, it's not for everyone.
It's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah. I love history. I love, reading things about philosophy. I don't agree with most things in philosophy, of course. Western philosophy, of course. I love history. I love writing. I love reading. I love the humanities. But some people, they aren't able to go into that career because of their parents, or how people will see them, or how their family back home is going to perceive them, like oh, you're a writer, or you're an author, oh, you make videos. Like it's seen as very low standard or low tier, or on the bottom of the social hierarchy.
I think
in a lot of these households.
Exactly. Yeah. I think a lot of things in our culture, people look down on pioneership. If you're usually the first one doing it, people usually look down on it. Video making has become usually a big thing right now thanks to YouTube. And past few years ago, 5 years ago, heck, my mom would have even said, YouTube, why YouTube? You don't want your aunties, your uncles seeing that. So but now, since everyone knows about YouTube, is widespread, she's able to agree on things like that. I think we and our parents, we're ignorant to that, and I think when more people know about some certain topic, they're able to be more lenient towards it.
For sure. Yeah. I also wanted to talk about the other extreme, which are I guess young people that are very resentful to their parents because of this. And if people do go in this direction of forcing your children to go into something they don't want to go into, resentment will build up.
Yes, of course.
That'll naturally build up. But on the flip side, you as a teenager, you as a young person, you don't know jack about life. I don't know jack about life.
Yeah.
You might know more jack about life than I do. However, that doesn't give us, just because someone, like, let's say a father or a mother, they're not letting you do what you want to do. They have your best interest in mind right now.
Experience is the best teacher.
The way that we go about trying to convince them should not be from a place of hatred, from a place of anger. Yeah. Should not be from a place of, oh, you don't get me.
Exactly.
Or you don't understand.
That way. Yeah.
They might not understand. That might be true. That part might be true.
Exactly.
But they do get you. They
Yeah.
understand who you are as a person because they literally cleaned your dookie
Yeah.
when you were 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Bro,
Yeah.
come on, have you really forgotten about that fact? And so we just need to be, we need to like have a holistic view of this, that parents do kind of have a part to blame in this context. However, we are really the ones in control of our life and our future, and we might not pursue something that our parents like. However, their will for what they do want us to pursue, that should never be a reason for us to resent them. That shouldn't, because it's coming from a good place at the end of the day. They are the ones that are looking out for you no matter what.
They want,
that's certain.
Yeah, they want
that
you to
they're
be
looking out for
happy.
you.
They just want you to be happy. You know
Yeah,
what?
for
At the
sure.
end of the day, my mom said, maybe your parents said too, I just want you to be happy. Whatever you do, hopefully you have a steady source of income. Just be happy. Just be
Right.
happy. Whatever you do, just be happy. So this thing about battling with your parents, I don't think you should battle with your parents. You got to realize they were once teenagers, they were once kids, so they went through everything that we're going
Right.
through. I think experience, like I was saying before, I think experience is the best teacher. There's nothing you can't buy experience. A 95-year-old will always know some stuff
For sure, yeah.
than a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
That just by living, just by simply living, you just know more.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about experience, I'm not sure if I said this in the beginning, but this is our first time. Forgive us if things do go wrong.
Yeah, of course, guys.
You've seen a couple things go wrong.
Yeah.
We're gonna get better with experience.
Yeah, of
This is our
course.
first episode.
Yeah.
We're a bit hard on ourselves for the first time, for the first takes we were doing. We want this, bro. This is like our 20th take.
Yeah,
we tried fixing
Yeah.
too many things. I think that was just a headache on our part.
Yeah.
And we finally were just like, yo, screw it. Let's just roll.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
roll with
exactly.
it and see what happens. We do have to cut out some things, definitely.
At some point, you just have to press the record button and just keep going.
You just do it, bro.
You just gotta do it.
That's really it. You just do it.
You can't prepare.
For sure. Yeah, for
know?
sure. So I the process of it's kind of similar to the writing process. I'm not talking from like the perspective of like an experienced writer. I like writing. Some of it, some people like. Some of it, some people don't like. Some of it, I don't like. A lot of it, I don't like. But the experience of it is very similar, where you just vomit on paper. You just vomit on whatever you're writing or typing on, and then you do all the little editing, all the little tweaking, the taking out of certain parts, the taking out of certain bits that you don't like to add in. You do all that after, because what you need to do is just get started. What you need to do is just pick up the pen, or get the laptop out and start typing, and you just see what comes out. My bad.
I think I'm also a writer. Sometimes I also write. English actually is my favorite subject. It's hilarious that I'm taking STEM, but English is my favorite subject. I always had it pretty easy to me because I thought it was an art. To take millions of words in the English language and to piece them together in any way that you want, and then have hundreds of people read it and understand it. It's one of the most beautiful things, I think. And sometimes, like Shakeel said, sometimes people won't understand what you're saying. Sometimes people will misunderstand that, and that's okay. You don't always have to get your point across. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that you were able to write it on paper and you got something out of it. Many of the times we have so many emotions packed in, and the best way to do it is just free write, just write. It might be like 10 different random words, but if it makes sense to us, that's all that matters, I think. And
free writing is definitely going to be a main source of catharsis for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just so overwhelmed by emotions, or so overwhelmed by what's going on in life. Just pick up a pen, let it all out, because you can't bottle that up forever. You cannot bottle that up forever. A lot of people give the advice of journaling, of just, every day in the morning, just jot down what you want to do for the day, what things you have hope for, what things are, that you're worried about, what you're thinking about. And this is just a release. Like, you're releasing all these things built up in your head. Like our brains are not wired to contain all of this information or all of these emotions at one time. We're gonna explode. Like honestly, we're gonna explode, and that's where the mental breakdowns happen, and that's where a lot of the excessive stress happens, because we're not releasing what we need to just get out into the world, or get out into a piece of paper, or get out into a friend, or someone that can listen to you, and that's really important. Moving on into a bit more. Actually, let's stay on the topic of writing for a bit, because I do poetry.
Yeah, he does.
I do poetry.
He does poetry. He actually has an Instagram page. You guys should check it out.
Don't check it out. Don't check it out.
I'll post a link.
Please
in the
don't.
description.
we might not.
I will definitely post it.
That's a very big might.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably will not. Anyway, so let's just stay on the topic of that for a bit. Poetry. I never thought I'd get into poetry, like for real. I never thought I'd like it. It all seemed kind of boring, in my opinion. Kind of really boring.
Oh, why is
because
that? Yeah, why is that?
I mean, when I was little, like all the poems that we would read, none of it related to me, because it would just be about some dude from like the 1800s.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't relate to whatever the heck you're writing about, like trees or or like relationships.
Symbolism.
I was like 12, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then finally, I started reading my own types of poetries. I started reading, things about sadness, and things about like the emotions people go through, or just the beauty of life, or the human experience. And I would find the beauty in these words written on a piece of paper, and I'm just like, maybe I should try that out. Maybe I should try that out. The other thing is I used to listen to a lot of spoken words, I guess, and there's a lot of Muslim spoken word artists out there, but in the beginning I used to listen to more non-Muslim ones, and the way that they express their emotions really inspired me to just get my emotions and thoughts out through that medium. So I started to write some poetry. A lot of it, you can definitely tell in my writing how it kind of metamorphosized. It definitely was like more about me, myself, what I was going through, my emotions, and then it blossomed into my love for different types of things, and also just different themes. So a lot of the poems that I put on Instagram were about they were faith-based. So I think one of them was about wasting time, and how time is very valuable. Another one was about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how we should always strive to love him, how we should always strive to meet him in Jannatul Firdaus, in the akhirah, in the afterlife. Another one was about, I believe, sins, like, because we're all sinners, we're all gonna make mistakes, and sometimes we get very overwhelmed by those sins and those mistakes. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most merciful. You just have to go back to him. You just have to return to him. And sometimes I forgot about that, and I just had to consistently remind myself that there is a way out, that Allah is there, that your Lord is there, that he is the most caring, that he will love you no matter what. So I just had to remind myself that, and that's where that poem came about. And a lot of these poems come from personal thoughts and personal emotions.
I'm very lucky to be able to read stuff like that. Anytime that I read something that's personal, from people, I'm able to, I'm getting, it's like a welcome greet, like saying to the people, hey, look, I respect you as a person. I want you to read this from my own personal experience. So I'm always, always excited about that. Yeah.
That also kind of ties into the idea of just, whenever someone is very into a certain subject or into a certain passion of theirs, it'll always just sound really interesting, like no matter what. So it'll always just sound really interesting no matter what. I remember someone I knew in high school, they recently also started their podcast. It's called The Finesse Podcast, if you guys want to check that out.
Wow.
Yeah, so he talks a lot about hip hop and rap. I don't know jack about hip hop or rap. I don't really know anything about the music industry. And just listening to him about, like how some rapper changed the game of hip hop. I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting, but I relate to none of that because I'm just not into it. But just listening to him talk and talk and talk and talk on and on about it, it was just really interesting and fascinating, and to just hear about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Moving on to a couple inspirations of, I guess, because we're talking about poetry and talking about our interests. A couple of inspirations of how I got into that. Rumi. Okay, guys, so we are back. Sorry for the cuts, but this is a learning process. It happens. So we were talking about Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi. He, like I said, he was known as the best-selling author or best-selling poet of America, and a big reason for that is that, when you think of a quote-unquote Rumi poem or Rumi, line of poetry, you think of a lovey-dovey kind of theme going on, and that's not to say that his poems didn't revolve around love for his wife or love for his friend or love for people in general. Those do exist. However, how Rumi got popularized was because of a certain translation by a certain translator. I forget his name per se, but when he translated it, it did contain a lot of the meanings that Rumi poems had, but it took out a lot of the inner meanings. And so what that did was he took out a lot of the God-centric meanings behind Rumi's poems. And so when people read them, they're not thinking of Allah, they're not thinking of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when a good portion of Rumi's poetry was about them, was about the love that he had for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was the love that he had for the Prophet, and the love that he had for the deen in general. And it's really sad that when people think of Rumi, they think of a lovey-dovey kind of dancing Sufi that is just about living life, man. No, he wasn't about that. He was practicing. He did a lot of orthodox Islamic things, and he wrote poetry, but it was in the framework of a Muslim that was always striving to fall in love with his creator, to fall in love with the person that brought the message from his creator.
That's really interesting, dude. I don't know much about this person, but I've been enlightened right now, and I think at the end of the day, most of these great poets and authors, they're usually misquoted or misinterpreted until for a long time. And for someone like you to be able to finally understand someone like him and give him credit, the proper credit, I think that's really good. And also, you said that he was an influencer. He influenced you, right?
He influenced me in a big way. Also, just like the Sufi culture in general, a lot of people have a mistaken kind of stereotype of what a Sufi is, of what that whole mystic side of Islam is.
Not to cut you off, what is the Sufi for the viewers that?
Okay. So I'm not a scholar.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that is learned on that level. However, I do want you to go research what a Sufi is, what that side of Islam has to bring, because a Sufi is someone that is working more on the inner spectrum of reforming themselves. And so what that means is they're working on reforming their soul, they're working on reforming their heart. They look constantly at what they can improve, they look constantly at how they can love Allah more day by day. And I read a very important article by a Dr. Muhammad Ghilin, if you're familiar with him. Might not be. Yeah, so he is very into that kind of culture and that tradition, and I forget if it was the article's name or it was in a Facebook post, but he basically said, if you claim to be a Sufi, you are not a Sufi, because the whole premise of Sufism is to completely annihilate your soul and not your soul, annihilate your ego and annihilate your presence and your thought process in the face of the creator. And so you let your desires become his desires, and you let your way of living become the way of living that he prescribed for you.
Or becoming humble, right?
It's humility. It's all about diminishing your ego. It's all about reforming yourself. And look into Sufism. Like, honestly, look into Sufism. I don't want my opinion to be anyone else's opinion just for the sake of it, but definitely research it.
Asking, Sufism, is there anything related to like Buddhism? Is there any relationships? I know there are a lot of people that have misconceptions.
So, so Sufism is Islam. Yeah, that's part of Islam.
So we'll just keep it to Islam. Sufism, guys, just Islam. Okay?
Buddhism, I have a lot of respect for Buddhists and that kind of meditation process. That's a whole that's a whole different science of its own. I'm not a Buddhist, obviously. That's Buddhism. Is a very spiritual religion. Those guys are very like just peaceful, quiet. I really respect that. It's just Islam is what we live by. We're Muslims, and I really think it is important for anyone that has a very mistaken view of what Sufism is to look into it. And I just won't say anything that I probably shouldn't say, because we're not
We're both trying to keep away from things that we are professionals at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. On that topic, have you gone through periods of time where you just felt like, how should I phrase this? Because I can look back at times where I have had definitely like revisions of how I look at Islam, or revisions of, and not to say that I'm changing the deen. It's my own little inner perception of what Islam is and how to live as a Muslim. And that doesn't mean that I'm not living as an Orthodox Muslim, or that I'm not living according to the Sunnah or the Quran. However, there have been my own inner like changes into how I just perceive a lot of things. Have there been any points in your life where you just looked at a certain aspect of Islam and it really just changed your view on it, or has there been any movement or any personal experience that changed how you looked at it?
I'm a person who questions things, and a lot of people might find this weird. Why do you question religion? Listen, I've been brought into Islam, but that's not to say that I just took it for word for word. I do question it every day here and there, and I think you should question it. If you're gonna dedicate your whole life to a belief system,
right,
you should question it, and you have the right to question it. And if you don't fully understand it, you're not fully committed to it. In Islam, we have something called Iman, and if your Iman isn't strong, then you're not close with God. And majority of us, we don't have a good Iman, is because most of us, we don't question our religion. We're given the answers by imams from local masjids or even our own parents, and most of these answers are half answered. And many of us nowadays, we're very intelligent, we're very intellectual creatures, and we question things. And when things don't match up, we completely discard the whole religion. And I don't think we should do that. I think there are answers to these questions that we have, but we're just asking the wrong types of people. I think we should go to scholars or Sufis, people like that. We should definitely go to scholars, people who are made to study the religion, and not look up something on Google, Because many times the answers does lie, and it's ignorance that tells us that, this is something that we shouldn't believe, but Islam definitely has the answers.
So I'll add, I agree with most of what you said. Yeah. I'll add a little caveat. All these local scholars, bro, they have the answers to anything you're looking for. It's just that they might not have the greatest delivery, because there is that language barrier.
Of course, yeah.
They know everything that we have the questions for, or they might not be able to express themselves fully in that respect. And so you shouldn't denounce. I'm not saying you are, but a lot of people out there, they do denounce a lot of their local scholars. I don't think that's the answer. Go seek out your local scholar, build a relationship with him, and look at how he practices Islam and how he gains his inner peace through this great deen of ours, or great religion of ours. And that's not to say that if you're not satisfied with an answer, look for that answer.
Yeah, you should have different
look out that answer. Yeah,
you should have multiple sources.
Right. If that imam, which he's probably benefiting you in other ways, if that imam can't give you a specific answer to one specific question, look for the answer through someone that is learned on the same level. And if he can't give you the answer, look for that answer. However, you should never give up on Islam. You should never give up on this religion for the sake of a few doubts. And sometimes we have a lot of doubts, but those all can be answered. And you should always first ask those questions to the right people, and look for those answers because they are out there.
Yeah,
For sure.
I'm still, I'm still searching for answers, and I still like to journey.
Yeah.
I'll probably never know all the answers, but I want to know some of the most critical answers. And I'm still questioning scholars that I know. Local scholars, just like Shakil mentioned, and of course, I want to do some traveling. To homeland, to Mecca. Where scholars were built up through the whole religion of Islam. They'll probably have more grounded, grounded rules and grounded
Yeah.
laws of Islam. So
There are scholars all over the
Yeah,
world, but
of course,
obviously Mecca is like our home.
so
Our Medina is our home.
exactly. So the whole thing with the doubt, I think we have doubts in every single
Right.
topics in life. I think we just have to find answers.
Right. And I think we've talked enough about kind of that.
Yeah.
We we had a pretty interesting discussion before
Yeah,
we recorded this.
definitely. Yeah.
You were talking about recording a movie. How's that going?
Yeah, I'm currently working on several projects. Same with me, it's when I get very ill with multiple projects, I'm not able to really finish them. I was working on this one project actually. It's about depression. It's a very heavy topic actually, And I think depression is not like a one word thing. I think everyone sees it through different lenses, and everyone has a rightful meaning for it. I think it's a synonym. Everyone has a different meaning for it. So I was trying to make this movie, and I'm still working on it, the whole script and everything, and hopefully I'm able to one day shoot for it. It's basically just about a general character that goes through life and how he views life, and it was an interesting concept on the whole depression idea and
Right.
how people are going through.
Is this the movie? Are you still working on this movie, or are you done with it?
I'm working on the script. I haven't shot it. There is another movie that I did work on, and I've shot it halfway through. It's on the it's on the aspect of family, why family matters.
Gotcha. So you were halfway through that movie,
First, yeah, that one.
and the depression movie, you were almost done with it, or you finished it.
The script. Yeah.
You finished the script. Okay.
Yeah.
Are those? You're still gonna work on those, or?
Hopefully someday I find enough time for
Okay.
those.
Gotcha.
I wanna, these are very heavy topics, and I don't wanna, half do the work. I wanna actually
Right.
hit it home run.
Right, for sure.
So if people are able to, relate with it, they're able
Mhm.
to say, this is a well done movie.
Right. So, the whole movie making process is always kind of interested me, because I do really like the cinematography of a lot of things, and whenever I look at a movie, I always try to find the beauty of how it's shot as well, even though that's not my background.
Mm-hmm.
I know there goes a lot into making a movie. Is this a full length movie, like a 2 hour movie?
No, it's a short film. So
It's a short film, okay.
30 minutes to 45
30
minutes.
minutes is not a short film.
Yeah,
That's a full long episode right there.
Yeah, so most likely like that. So if it was anything a little bit shorter than that, I wouldn't really call it a movie.
Gotcha.
Most likely a
Okay.
skit.
I know there's always something that goes wrong in the background of any movie, of any production. Has it been smooth sailing, or?
No, it's usually the chemistry between the actors. Sometimes we have these overpowering actors, and sometimes we have actors who
Right.
are not even acting. So
They're not even acting
yeah,
great.
So I could do a better acting at that.
Ooh.
So we do have this this whole shift. This whole dynamic. So
Right.
I think that's the thing, because you as a director, I am the director of the movie, so you as a director really see this whole picture for the movie, but then you have your actors bringing something else to the table. And if you guys are not able to,
If we're not on the same
Yeah.
kind of wavelength.
exactly, if
Yeah.
you're not able to handshake on the idea, then it becomes troublesome, So I'm still figuring things out. I do have a very great actress. She's currently out of the States, and hopefully when she gets back, we'll be able to do some.
So, the actress, she went away, right, to Brazil,
Yeah,
or?
she's from Brazil. She's an actual actress. She's
Okay.
a Brit actress, and we found her through Instagram, and she was happy enough to flu season.
Yeah.
She was happy enough to actually say yes to the movie, and I'm glad. She's a very great actress.
But she moved away, and you had to stop production because of that.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
to stop production.
Gotcha. That's for the family movie or the depression movie?
That's for the family movie. The
Gotcha.
depression movie, I just want one character. I was gonna make it myself, but I don't know how to act properly, so I'm most likely just gonna find someone else that I see as myself.
Gotcha.
I kind of do want it to be like by myself. It's not an autobiography, but I kind of do want it to be seen through my eyes.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully I find someone like that.
Okay, you said that it was an autobiography. What do you mean by that?
Not really an autobiography. I don't want it to be an autobiography.
Oh, okay, my bad. So, the whole concept of family and depression, those are themes that are they're very broad.
They're very broad. Yeah, they're very broad. Of course, I don't want to give away everything. But the movie itself does go into not general, but very specific
Right.
issues. So in terms of the family movie, I'll give you a little teaser. It's actually about about a brother and sister. How they're able to live when their parents are gone.
Oh,
The
okay.
parents actually passed
Gotcha.
away. And it's about how the older sister takes care of the brother.
Mm.
The brother isn't able to figure that out until the very end
Right.
of the movie. How she
Okay.
loved him. That's the
You
general
know what that kind of reminds me of? Have you ever watched any like Studio Ghibli movies?
Not that
You've heard of it, right? Studio Ghibli, like the animation
yeah,
studio.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
it's like Hayao Miyazaki. He's the director.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've probably heard of like some of the movies like Spirited Away, or
Spirited Away.
yeah, Spirited Away is the most famous one.
Yes.
So under Studio Ghibli, there's a movie called Grave of the Fireflies, and the premise of it is that there's this boy. He's like 14, 15. Okay, I'll see.
It's still recording.
No, it's dead.
That's what I'm saying. Gotta figure out where it died though.
Okay. Hey guys, guess what?
We're back.
It cut out again.
One time.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? Yeah. So the premise that you were talking about, it reminds me a lot of The Grave of the Fireflies. It's a movie from Studio Ghibli. It's basically centered around this boy. He's 14, 15-ish, and he has this little 4-year-old daughter. Not daughter. It's like 14. 4-year-old sister. Yeah, he has his little 4-year-old sister, and it's right after the bombings on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they're in Japan, and their dad was in the army and he died, and their mom was killed because of the bomb, and so they had to go live with their aunt, but she was a big egotistical, and the boy he just didn't like how she was imposing a lot of rules on them, and he being stubborn. He's like 14. He's like, I'm just gonna take care of my sister by myself. And it's such a sad movie, bro. It's such a tearjerker, and just the way they're living, and it's so harsh, and it's dude, it's torture watching that movie. Honestly, it's such torture watching that movie because it'll make you cry like 4 times. Everyone I know has cried in that because of that movie. It's torture, honestly.
Sorry guys, this is my little brother.
I don't know if he's in the shot.
I think he is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I actually think this is a good point to wrap up. You have any closing remarks?
That was definitely an interesting movie. I'm definitely gonna watch that. Thank you guys for tuning into our first episode of this podcast. Hopefully, we're able to make a second episode. You guys like that,
Inshallah, we have many more to come. Inshallah, this is a very beneficial podcast. I mean, I don't know how movie talks are beneficial, but you'll find some benefit out of it. There's always some benefit in everything.
Yeah, you can just be our friends.
Inshallah, this is long lasting, not just a one-time thing. Inshallah, we get better at this every single podcast, and there's not this many breaks or cuts. And inshallah, we grow as people through this as well. So with that,
yeah.